feel like it's so important to meet people where they're at and to accept them for who they are. And I think that is also something that we say a lot, but I think it's easier said than done. It's easy to say, you know, just accept people, especially when that comes to, I think, our parents and our relationships with them. And I've noticed that within the past couple years, being so close to my parents. I live with my mom because I'm closer to my dad to bring him to his like doctor's appointments and stuff. And so I spend a lot more time with him than I have any other time in my life, because we are always going to his appointments once a month, and then we see his cardiologist and we go grocery shopping together. So we're together at least 1 or 2 days a week. And it's just the two of us. So and he loves to talk. So there's always a lot of talking. And I have always I would just get irritated. I would find myself getting irritated with him and just thinking that like some things were so obvious to me, but he just wasn't understanding like certain outlooks, certain interactions with people that just seemed like so obvious to me. But I had to tell myself that we grew up in 2 different time periods. Like he was born in the 40s and I am 27 now. So we have like a 50-something year age gap. And yeah, so we've seen the world from 2 completely different perspectives. And that has been something I have had to teach myself in interacting with him, and also trying to understand how he is who he is and what has made him see the world the way he does and the experiences he's had. And I think part of accepting people for who they are is accepting their experiences and also asking about them. I think it's one thing, you know, to say like, oh, I love my dad or whatever, and he's so goofy, and he says silly things, but I also will ask him, you know, if a certain song is your favorite song, why is it your favorite song? And I feel like, again, that's so simple, but I feel like that is something that he doesn't really expect. Like I will ask him certain things about himself and he'll kind of be caught off guard because I don't know if he's experienced that at that level. So yeah, I think that's very important. I think it's really important to make and build relationships with our families, especially our older generations, because they're not going to be here forever. Obviously, they're like I said, my dad was born in the 40s, so he's 81 now, and I'm just trying to learn as much as I can. And I also even got him a book. I've got both my parents a book, just to learn about their life experiences, learn about their family dynamics, their upbringings, just so I can understand them a bit better, even when they're not here anymore. So I think that's very important. And like I said, I think it's something that we think is so simple. But when you are in a position with another person, like I said, it could just be a parent where you just don't see eye to eye on something. You don't have the same perspective about one thing. And it's different when there's disrespect. Like obviously don't tolerate disrespect or anything like that, someone crossing your boundaries, anything like that. But when it is just seeing the world in 2 different ways and having maybe different interests, like I remember a month or so ago, I was talking to my dad. We were just like in the car coming back from his doctor's appointment, and I was like, have you ever like do you like monkeys? Have you ever seen a zebra before? And I was just like thinking about animals, and he had never been to a zoo before. He had just, you know, he grew up, and when he turned 18, he had to go to the Air Force, and he served for 4 years, and then he was just working the rest of his life at 2 jobs. He was there for like 20 some odd years for each of them, and then he retired. So he, you know, was just working and doing what he had to for his whole life, and not going to a zoo was just so wild to me, because I've been to a zoo multiple times, and we went when I was younger. Like we went to Disney World when I was younger, and this was with my mom. Again, like my dad was working and never really came with us, but it is so interesting to be so close to a person, but have a completely different experience of life. And yeah, I think that's why it's so important to get to know our family members, especially with like, you know, it's the holiday time, and holidays can be difficult for people for different reasons. And I completely understand that. Like, I'm in that boat too. And I just think it's so important to get to know our loved ones. So yeah, my dad and I actually did go to the zoo a couple weeks after we had been talking about it. And he was like, he was a little unsure about it at first. And he was like, yeah, sure. Like, I'll go if you want to go. He wasn't really super into it. But when we left, he loved it and he wanted to go back, and he wanted to bring, like, he has like an old fashioned like camcorder. I think it might be like a big hunky piece, but he wants to bring it and he wants to record all the animals, and my brother wants to come. So I think that was a successful trip. It was fun to have him experience something else. And I also didn't want to push him into doing it. I was just like, I thought it would be something fun that we could do together, and we don't always do things that I'm interested in, and I thought that would be something I'm interested in and something that he would experience for the first time in his life. So yeah, at 81 he went to the zoo for the first time. So that was cool. And again, I think he had a really good time too, because he wants to go back. So yeah, all in all, I just think it is important to get to know your family, your siblings, your cousins, grandparents, parents, aunts, uncles, you know, whoever, who you feel like you kind of do know, but you don't. If you really think about it, you don't know them that well, because I don't think I know my grandparents all that well. So I try to, when I see them, ask them questions about, like I just was told the other day by my grandparent, not the other day, but like a few months ago over the summer, so fairly recently, but that they go on a lot of cruises. And I had no idea that they go on cruises all the time. They've been like all over like the Caribbean. So that was news to me. I just think I think it's fun to learn about. I think I just like history in general, and I like learning about people. I like talking to people, but I think it's very important to learn things about your family. So if you can, definitely ask next time you're with a family member and they're talking about something that they like, ask them why, and talk about it more with them, and really understand what they're, you know, why they're really interested in that, and what their other interests are. Because I feel like there's also, when they're asked to go further on a topic, they kind of light up a little bit, which is nice. And again, if they're your loved ones and you really care about them, then I think you'd want to hear about it anyway. So yeah, I think that's really important. And that is something that I've taken away from my relationship with my parents the past couple of years, is just talking to them more. And I also feel a lot of like irritation and anger like within myself, and that I've had growing up, dissipate, which is really nice. So I feel like they feel more understood, and it also opens my eyes to their experiences in their life, and, you know, just what makes them them. So I highly recommend that. I think that's very important, to get to know people and get to know our loved ones. So that is all for now, I think. Bye for now.